I think this is a really bad idea. It's important that we monitor standards across the country, because without a common standard and a common level, we cannot really assess children. And to go to moderation in schools means that standards will be separately monitored in each school, and it's impossible to really enforce a national standard. And as we really need to have good basic skills taught in schools, it's really crucial that we understand exactly where children have got to at the age of 11. Well, let's first of all say that all testing that takes place is necessary to ensure that we've understood exactly where the child is. Now, there are two types of testing. There's informal and formal. Teachers test all the time. The only way that you can know that a child has understood something is to test it. And in fact, teachers do that informally through questioning and also through written means, through homework and all sorts of things. So testing is normal. There are times when you have to formalise it as well to ensure that you've reached certain standards. Well, the teacher is testing at 5 because the teacher constantly... It doesn't have to be formalised at 5. No, I don't believe it should happen at 5 because the children don't know anything. But after 2 years of schooling, we have to know where the children have reached. We need to know, whether they can read. We need to know whether they can write, and we need to know whether they have certain numerical skills. In the classroom, doing a test is not a traumatic thing because the teacher tests every day anyway. I ask children questions. I'm constantly interacting, and as no doubt you are if you're a teacher, interacting with children and asking them questions. I'm probing them for answers. I'm checking that they know things. What's the difference between putting them in front of a piece of paper and saying, now please write that down?
Because
that is what a test
because
is.
The teacher is deciding to do that for the children in their midst. What you're talking about are nationally set tests that take no account of local circumstance. That's the difference.
Well, actually, that's the important thing, because by nationally testing, we are taking account of local circumstances because we find out whether or not that particular school or that particular context is not actually performing up to what it should be. Now, that's important from a national point of view, but it's also important from each individual child's point of view. We need to know that a child has reached this standard. I mean, we're currently facing a nation that is 27th percentile in reading and writing.
What does that mean? Sorry.
It means across the figures that are put out by PISA, they have.
Maybe I needed to study more maths and English. I don't understand these acronyms or these numbers.
These are international statistics which go across all developed nations, and we are 27th in the developed world in terms of literacy and numeracy. This is just not acceptable, and we have to do something about it. We have to intervene, because otherwise our children will suffer even more in the future, because our economy will not be able to sustain the level that it is at the moment, because other nations are competing against us. They're not worried about testing people, and neither should we be. I do believe that there is an attitude out there which wants to protect children from everything, and that's not helpful. We need to have a certain amount of toughness in our lives, and unfortunately we do face examinations. They've got to do them. Are we suggesting that we get rid of them at university, that we get rid of them everywhere because it's difficult?
Dr. Curran, just one final question. Do you therefore disagree with the government's move to scrap these?
I do disagree with it entirely. I do believe that actually we need more testing. We need it at 14 as well, because we don't know what's happening between 11 and 16. There's 5 years, no interventions whatsoever. At 16 we discover, oh dear, what went wrong? Actually, I think there are two issues here. I mean, first of all, it's important that schools do not educate people in A-levels if they're not actually capable of doing them. And that's true of comprehensive schools and grammar schools. The second issue I would agree with, we shouldn't just be moving children out of school to improve league table results. That's not what schools should be doing. They should be ensuring that the students that they have selected to do A-levels are good enough at the beginning of the course. Well, I don't agree with any school trying to fiddle the figures. That's completely wrong. Schools need to ensure, though, that they maintain their standards and that those going on to do A-levels actually have the academic ability to do that. I do think there's been a degrading of the A-level as a qualification. It needs to be for those who have academic ability, and unfortunately we have too many people going to university at the moment. Really, in the past, even in Germany, we could say that only 20% of people actually go to university. We need a stronger vocational and technical education for many youngsters in this country. Academic education is not suitable for all, and it's important that we recognise this. Obviously, grammar schools would benefit me, but I do believe, aside from that, I believe in this strongly anyway. I believe that it's what's right for the country, irrespective of commercial interest.
But it is in your commercial interest.
But I think those two things can be separated. People may have commercial interests in business, but that doesn't mean they don't care about the products that they produce, or they don't care about the people that are involved in that. And I care deeply about the educational issues in this country, and I believe it's important in this country to have people who are technically and vocationally trained and people who are academically trained as well. And you have to have the right education for every student.